Her daughter-in-law's brand deal was live. Linda's watermark was right there in the corner, barely cropped. 5 family members stood in the photo Linda had taken. Amanda posted only 4. She called it content. Linda called it theft. The comments began, "Wait, whose LG photo?" Amanda had erased her mother-in-law online. But Linda? She kept the receipts. And now everyone was seeing them. Wait, before we go any further, I gotta ask, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. The moment Linda saw the photo, she knew something was wrong. Not because her hair was out of place or the lighting was unflattering, she simply wasn't in it. But she had been. She remembered where she was standing, how her hand rested gently on her grandson's shoulder, how she had leaned ever so slightly toward Amanda, trying to bridge a space that felt larger than it looked. Now, that space was gone. So was she. Linda sat at her kitchen table, morning sun catching in the fine lines of her hands as they hovered over her phone. The Instagram post Amanda had uploaded was bright, cheerful. "Family brunch," the caption read. There were 4 smiling faces at the table: Amanda, her husband, their son, and Amanda's mother. The chairs were the same. The plates were the same. Even the flowers Linda had arranged in the center were there. But Linda wasn't. Cropped clean. Her fingers tapped the screen, not in anger but in a quiet kind of observation. She scrolled back to the last holiday photo. Thanksgiving. Amanda's post from that day showed a long table, a golden roast, children laughing, Amanda mid-laugh, her husband pouring wine. Linda had hosted that dinner, cooked for it, paid for half of it. In that photo, all that remained of her was a corner of a sleeve. She didn't blink, didn't sigh, just scrolled. Christmas, New Year's, her grandson's birthday, over and over, moments she had been a part of, gone as if edited out of memory itself, each one carefully framed to erase her. She zoomed in on one, Amanda holding her son in front of the living room's fireplace. Linda could just barely make out the curve of her reflection in the mirror above the mantel. A ghost in her own home. Linda set her phone down. The coffee in her cup had gone cold, but she took a sip anyway. The bitterness hit differently now, clearer, sharper. She didn't go to Amanda's page out of masochism. She went out of habit. She'd always liked to see the photos, what the grandkids were wearing, what crafts they had done. She rarely commented. Amanda didn't like that. Once she had said, "Let's keep the comments simple and emoji-based. It helps the algorithm." Linda had nodded. She had always been agreeable, useful. She pushed her chair back and walked slowly to her office, the one room Amanda had once called cluttered. It wasn't clutter. It was cataloged, organized, measured. She opened the second drawer of her desk and pulled out the slim black external hard drive, plugged it into her laptop, waited. The folder blinked open on the screen. Family, RAW/sorted. She clicked through. Every photo Amanda had posted, she had taken. With her own camera, not a phone. High resolution, well composed. She had captured Amanda's good side, softened harsh angles with natural light. She had arranged group poses so Amanda was centered and radiant. She had done it all. And every one of those images still sat in her archive, untouched, full frame, time-stamped. She opened one. There she was again, in the original shot. A smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, but she had been there, present, supporting. Linda created a new folder, Originals, dragged the unedited images in. She didn't delete the rest. She just duplicated what mattered. Then she picked up her phone again. One final scroll through Amanda's feed. One last scan of the captions. "Family is everything. So grateful for those who show up. Brunch made better by the women who raised me right." Linda tilted her head slightly. Her lips curled into the faintest of smiles. Her finger hovered over the screen. Then, casually, she pressed Save Image. Just before closing her laptop, she paused. Her eyes narrowed. Not out of sadness, but focus. The images weren't the only thing that had been edited. The memory of who had taken them, who had made the moments possible, was being rewritten. Quietly, strategically. But Linda remembered. She reached for a sticky note and scribbled a title, Cropped History. Then she opened a new document, labeled it Proof. She opened her photo archive folder titled Originals. Linda stood in the hallway just outside the dining room, still holding her oven mitts, as laughter floated up like steam from the table. The roast was carved, the wine was poured, the kids were sticky-fingered and red-cheeked, nibbling around the crusts of pumpkin pie she'd baked from scratch. But no one was looking for her. No one noticed she hadn't yet sat down. She stepped quietly back into the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel, and leaned against the counter. From where she stood, she could see Amanda holding up her phone, snapping a photo of the table. It was a good angle. Linda had adjusted the dining room lights earlier to balance the tone just right, to avoid shadows under anyone's eyes. "Smile!" Amanda chirped. "Let's do one more. Just the family." No one asked where Linda was. The next morning, she opened Instagram while stirring her coffee. Amanda had already posted, "Holiday warmth, family full, so grateful to gather in love." 4 photos. The table, the centerpiece Linda had arranged with eucalyptus and gold-trimmed candles, a wide shot of Amanda standing at the head of the table pouring cider, and the final one, a group shot. Amanda, Caleb, the kids, and Amanda's mother. Her mother, who arrived late and left early, who brought boxed rolls from the store. Not a single image showed Linda. Not her hands arranging napkins, not her shoulder brushing past chairs as she served potatoes, not even her place card. She hadn't just been cropped, she had been ghosted. Not even tagged. She tapped the photo, scanning the tags. Amanda's mom, the brand of wine, the small business that made the velvet table runner. Nothing for her. The comments came quickly. "Everything looks beautiful, Amanda. You always host with such style. Your table is goals, you do it all." Linda sat down slowly at the breakfast table, the same table where she'd sliced apples for the pie 2 nights ago, the same table where Amanda had texted her at midnight asking if she could borrow her roasting pan. She sipped her coffee, no sugar, no cream, and let the warmth roll across her tongue like a shield. It wasn't the erasure that surprised her, it was how smoothly it had been done. She opened her own phone gallery, scrolled to the pictures she had taken throughout the night, the toddler asleep on the couch with his shoes still on, the golden brown sheen of the turkey as it came out of the oven, Caleb adjusting his cufflinks in the hall mirror. All her photos. All of them. But none of them made it online. Later that afternoon, a text pinged. "Amanda, hey, could you send me the high-res versions of the pics you took? I'm thinking of using them for a thing I'm working on. No emoji. No, please." Linda read the message twice, then glanced up at her framed family photo on the mantel, a shot she had taken with a self-timer before Amanda came into their lives. She remembered setting up the tripod, the boys giggling as they ran into position. She looked back at the phone. Amanda had left the message on delivered. No question mark, no urgency, just expectation. She tapped her nails lightly against the mug, thinking. The request wasn't unexpected. Amanda had asked before, but this time was different. This time, it came after erasure, after a room full of people had walked past her without seeing her. And now Amanda wanted her files. Linda smiled faintly. Not bitter, not even surprised. She stood, walked to her office, and opened the drawer where she kept the SD cards, the unedited memories, the full frame. She selected one marked Holiday 23, slid it into her laptop, and watched as the thumbnails loaded across the screen. Colorful, complete, proof of her presence. She clicked export, but not before opening Photoshop. It was time her work had a signature. Amanda asks Linda for the high-res files for a project. The photo was in a whitewashed wooden frame, hanging just to the left of the hallway mirror, where every guest passed by on the way to the kitchen. It caught the light from the living room window, soft and flattering. Amanda stood in the middle, a curated glow on her face. Caleb was on her left, holding the youngest child on his hip. The older 2 kids flanked them, smiling. Literature perfect. Linda stood silently, one hand still on her purse strap, taking in the image. She had taken that photo. She remembered setting the timer, crouching down to check the angle, then running into the middle, standing directly between the two kids with her arms behind their backs. She had been smiling too, maybe a little breathless from the scramble, but smiling. Now only her shoulder remained, blurred, cropped at the edge like a forgotten guest who wandered into frame. Amanda appeared behind her, carrying a tray of drinks. "Oh, that one came out great, right?" she said breezily. "The light was perfect." Linda didn't turn. "I remember the light," she said simply. Later, while Amanda entertained guests in the sunroom, Linda wandered into the hallway again under the pretense of using the guest bathroom. She paused at the console table, where a second photo leaned casually against a potted plant. This one featured the kids in their matching pajamas, laughing in front of the fireplace. That night had been Christmas Eve. Linda remembered the cocoa she made, how she'd tucked marshmallows into tiny ramekins and added cinnamon sticks for fun. She'd taken at least 20 versions of this very moment, trying to capture the chaos of joy. This image showed only Amanda and the children. Caleb had been cropped from one side, Linda from the other. Back home that evening, Linda opened her laptop and navigated to Amanda's Instagram feed. The first thing she noticed was that Amanda's grid was clean, color-matched, and meticulous. Beige tones, warm lighting, minimalist captions. She clicked through the holiday post again, pausing on the final frame. Another one she'd taken. Another she'd been cropped out of. Linda didn't comment. Didn't like it. Instead, she opened an earlier post. Last spring's picnic in the park. She remembered the day well, how she'd packed the blanket, the sandwiches, and even the kids' juice boxes. How Amanda had arrived last and still managed to look most prepared. Linda had taken all the photos that day too. She clicked tag photo, tapped herself. There, in the background, kneeling, smiling, handing a cup to one of the kids. She moved to another post. The beach trip. Amanda's caption read, "Just the 5 of us." Linda remembered driving the car that day, paying for gas and standing in line for the funnel cake that everyone ate but didn't credit. Still, she tapped and tagged herself again. No comment, no note, just silent restoration. The next morning, her phone buzzed. "Amanda, can you stop tagging yourself in everything? It messes up the aesthetic." Linda read the message, then reread it. She imagined Amanda typing it with long, manicured fingers, maybe sipping one of those oat milk lattes she always posted in stories. Maybe annoyed, maybe nervous. She didn't reply right away. Instead, she pulled up a file she had labeled Event Archive, Sorted. Every family gathering she'd shot over the last 4 years was there, organized by year, by lighting condition, by type of lens, all raw, all untouched. All hers. She thought about the framed photo in the hallway again, her cropped shoulder, her erased joy. Then she clicked on a new folder, named it Versions They Chose, then opened another, Versions I Kept. She didn't need to confront Amanda. She just needed to be ready when Amanda asked again, for another photo, another moment, another edited memory. She'd have the originals, all of them. Amanda texts her, "Can you stop tagging yourself in everything?" The video opened with soft piano music and golden hour lighting. Amanda stood in her pristine kitchen, a carefully curated mug in one hand and a box cutter in the other. "You guys, I'm so excited to finally unbox this," she said, tilting the camera just slightly to capture her profile. The brown box bore a subtle logo, one Linda didn't recognize, something techy and sleek. Amanda sliced the tape with a flourish. Inside was a matte black tripod with chrome joints. She gasped theatrically. "This is exactly what I needed to keep creating beautiful content for our little corner of the internet," she said. "Thank you so much to the amazing team at Snapco for this gift, and to all of you for supporting my journey capturing moments with my family. I couldn't do this without you." Linda sat at her kitchen table, phone in hand, the screen casting a pale glow on her face. Her coffee had gone cold. No mention of her, no tag, no credit, just Amanda, beaming, clutching a tool she hadn't needed until Linda quietly stopped offering to bring her camera. She tapped back through Amanda's feed. Post after post featured birthdays, brunches, impromptu backyard hangs, all filtered and polished, each one taken by Linda, who'd stood quietly behind the lens while everyone else smiled in front of it. One video caught her eye, a carousel post titled Spring Picnic Bliss, 5 photos, all hers. Amanda sitting on a blanket, Amanda feeding the baby a strawberry, Amanda kissing Caleb with the sunset behind them. Linda remembered crouching at odd angles to get that shot just right, balancing her knee on a damp corner of the quilt, the back of her blouse sticking to her skin. She'd waited for the right light, shifted positions, captured the moment as Amanda had asked. "Just one more, could you? From a little lower?" The caption read, "Couldn't have done it without my amazing followers and this new lens from Click Lens Co. Feeling grateful for everyone who helps make these memories possible." Linda's name didn't appear, not in the caption, not in the tags, not even as a vague, "thanks to a dear friend." She stared at the screen, pulse steady, breath slow, not angry, not surprised, just aware, sharpened. She stood, walked over to her desk and opened her hard drive. It whirred softly as she connected it. The folders blinked to life. Family events, client shoots, archive raw. Inside the family folder, everything was organized meticulously. Holiday 2021, baby shower March, summer BBQ edits. She selected all the subfolders, right-clicked and renamed each one. LG Originals. Next, she created a master folder at the root directory, named it LG Photogy, Rafi, Intellectual Property. Then she opened a document. Title, Usage Without Credit, Chronology, no commentary, no dramatics, just dates, post links, screenshot thumbnails, side by side with the file names from her drive, each entry time-stamped with the metadata from her DSLR. She leaned back, glanced out the window. The sky was the same hue as the one in the Spring Picnic Bliss post, except hers had been real. Her phone buzzed again. Another tag. Amanda had posted a story. A boomerang of her spinning the new tripod on the floor, laughing. "Can't wait to shoot our next set of memories." Linda opened the story, watched it once, then clicked the top corner. Mute, don't show again. Then she opened a folder labeled 2022 Holiday Unedited and clicked on a photo Amanda had once called too wide. Linda zoomed in. There she was in the background, visible in the mirror behind the table, capturing the entire room. They'd cropped her out again and again, but she'd always been there. Linda opens her hard drive and renames every folder with her initials. Amanda's message arrived mid-morning, casual, clipped, and chirping with entitlement. "Hey Linda, do you still have the folder from the fall picnic? The one with the bench shots and the apple cider setup? I have a collab going live and they want real family moments. Can you send over the high-res ones?" The ex? No greeting. No, please. Just send. Linda stared at the text from the sunlit corner of her studio, the same corner where Amanda had once stood sipping cider and instructing her to get a cozy one, like I'm laughing but not staged. Linda had obliged, adjusting the lens, crouching low, waiting for the golden flicker of leaves behind her daughter-in-law's head. She never saw that photo posted. Not the original, anyway. Only the cropped version later, stripped of context. One that looked as if Amanda had been out with friends, not at a gathering Linda had baked for, cleaned up after, and photographed from start to finish. The collaboration Amanda's tone always changed when money hovered near. Linda's fingers moved slowly across her keyboard. She opened her archive. Fall Picnic 2022. Inside, over 40 shots. Amanda stirring cider, Caleb carving the initials of their daughter into a pumpkin, Linda's grandson grinning with a cinnamon donut half-eaten in his tiny hand. She selected the top 10, then paused. At the bottom corner of each image, where light and shadow tended to stay undisturbed, she added her mark, barely visible, in soft serif font, LGIs, originals, not loud, not centered, but unmistakable. Flattened the layers, exported as JPGs, no raw files, no PSD backups. She uploaded them into a zip folder titled Autumn Memories and emailed the download link. She did not include a message. Linda leaned back in her chair and waited. By the next afternoon, the post was live. 5 slides, a carousel of curated fall bliss, Amanda balancing a mug of cider on her knee, the baby asleep in Caleb's arms, dried leaves dancing in the breeze. Each image bore the same barely there watermark. 5 of them, right there. Linda opened the post's comments. "You always make motherhood look so effortless. This vibe is everything. Photographer deets? Okay, but who took these?" Amanda hadn't replied yet. Linda closed the app and took a sip of her tea. The taste had gone cool and tannic, but she didn't mind. She preferred it like that now, steeped longer, stronger. Later that evening, she checked again. Still no credit given. But one comment had grown legs. Why does it say LG on the bottom of all these? It had 6 likes. Another comment had appeared beneath it. Not her initials. Linda smiled gently and minimized the browser. A few hours later, her phone buzzed again. "Hi, can you send the ones without your name on them? These are for a brand thing, and they didn't approve watermarked images." "I thought you just forgot to crop them out or something?" Linda read the message 3 times, then set her phone down. No reply. Because she hadn't forgotten. She'd remembered everything. The missing tags, the cropping, the "thanks to my friends" captions, the little erasures that felt harmless until you realized they weren't. That night, she opened her laptop and created a new folder, LG_published inside it. She saved screenshots of Amanda's post, the comments, the watermark in clear view. Dated, time-stamped, proof. She also opened the metadata tracker she'd installed last year as a backup habit. The photos had geolocation data, time logs, camera details, all matching her gear. She didn't need to post. She didn't need to explain. Not yet. Her work had already spoken. Amanda uploads the brand deal post, Linda's watermark visible in all 5 slides. The watermark wasn't big. It didn't flash. It didn't blink. It wasn't even white. It was a soft dove gray that nestled into the shadows like it belonged there. But someone noticed. 3 days after Amanda's brand post went up, an autumn carousel featuring mugs, mittens, and midlaugh portraits, Linda sat in her armchair with her tablet, scrolling through the comments again. She wasn't looking for anything, just watching, measuring, and there it was. "Whose LG photo?" The comment wasn't aggressive. If anything, it was curious. But Linda leaned forward slightly, thumb hovering over the screen. Someone had seen it. Then another comment chimed in. "Wait, is that the watermark? LOL, did she forget to credit?" Followed by, "Tagged everyone but the photographer?" Linda's chest didn't fill with satisfaction exactly. It wasn't pride or revenge or even vindication. It was quieter than that. Something bone deep. A settling. She tapped the corner of the screen and took a screenshot, then another, then opened her file labeled LG_published and dragged them in, renaming them with date and timestamp. Across town, Amanda was panicking. In the background of a yoga reel she'd posted that morning, namaste hands and product tags, her phone kept lighting up with notifications. Not likes, not shares, questions. She clicked into the comments and began scrolling faster. Her jaw tightened when she saw the phrase again, LG photo. Then again on the 5th slide. "Does anyone know who took these? They're beautiful, whoever it is." Amanda's finger twitched toward the delete button. Instead, she clicked edit. Her eyes scanned the post. No way to crop mid-slide. The JPGs had been flattened. She couldn't isolate the layer, couldn't drag and reposition. She'd tried earlier that morning, twice, but every time she uploaded the files into her editing app, they came through as sealed. The watermark wouldn't budge, wouldn't fade, wouldn't leave, because Linda knew what she was doing. Amanda muttered under her breath and flopped her phone face down on the table. The brand hadn't messaged, not yet, but she could feel the pressure building in the seams. She drafted a story slide, something breezy. "So grateful for all the love on this campaign. It's been such a journey building this visual language." But before she could hit post, her DMs pinged. It was the brand. "Hi Amanda, hope you're well. Quick question. Were these images taken by you or a third-party photographer? We're confirming image rights for future use. Thanks." Amanda stared at the screen. No exclamation points, no emojis, just a slow, measured inquiry that smelled like a legal team standing just out of frame. She didn't answer immediately. Linda, meanwhile, was in her kitchen, placing lemon slices into a small glass jar to chill for the next day's tea. She hadn't received a message. Not yet. But she felt it coming. Sure enough, an hour later, her inbox lit up. A new subject line: Image Licensing Inquiry, Brand Collaboration Reference. Linda washed her hands, dried them slowly on a linen towel, and sat at the kitchen table. The email was professional. Polite. They'd noticed a visible watermark on recent brand assets and wanted to confirm whether she, Linda Gordon, was indeed the creator. If so, they were open to discussing usage terms and potential licensing going forward. Linda didn't smile, but she opened a new folder titled Licensing Requests and began dragging files into it. She hadn't said a word, but the watermark had spoken for her. The brand DMs Linda asking about image licensing. "She built a brand. I owned the images." The brand rep's voice was crisp, but not cold. "We just need a brief confirmation in writing, Ms. Gordon," she said, "that the images used in Amanda Carson's campaign were taken by you, and not professionally licensed to her, nor transferred with signed release." Linda held the phone against her cheek, the other hand turning a page in her notebook where she'd already outlined everything. "I took everyone," she said, her voice calm. "None were given with transfer of rights. None were paid for. No contract, no permission." There was a pause on the other end, the kind of pause that signaled meetings had just been rescheduled and legal teams were already reviewing PDFs. "Thank you," the rep said. "We'll be in touch shortly." Linda ended the call and looked down at her page. Every image Amanda had posted from the brand deal, 6 flat lay shots, 3 candids, and 1 banner slide, had been in Linda's Lightroom exports from the week after Easter brunch. She even had the RAW files with the timestamps. She slid her hand across her mouse pad and opened the folder again. It was labeled plainly, Spring Family Easter LG 2023, not dramatic, not vindictive, just accurate. On the other side of town, Amanda's world was slipping by the hour. Her inbox now had 3 unread emails marked URGENT, Asset Ownership Review. The campaign link she'd shared on LinkedIn, inactive. She'd called her manager twice, left a voicemail, then texted, "Can you just call me?" No response. She opened Instagram again, scanning the most recent brand post. Half the comments were still fawning, but some had started to shift. "Who is LG? Are these reposted? Images? Is that allowed? This is weird. Didn't she post this before with someone else in the frame?" Amanda's stomach turned. The phone vibrated in her hand. Email. This one had a subject line that froze her breath. Request for original RAW image files. Brand verification protocol. She didn't open it right away. She didn't have to. She knew what it said. The brand wanted proof, not screenshots, not reposts. The originals, the unfiltered, unedited, untouched files, the files with camera metadata and GPS embedded in their bones. She didn't have them. She had the ones Linda emailed her, already flattened, already tagged, and she'd posted them without checking, without cropping, without even noticing the watermark in the shadow of the porch swing. Amanda scrolled her texts. The last message she had sent Linda weeks ago still sat unanswered. "Can you stop tagging yourself in everything?" Now she needed those same originals. Desperately. Amanda tapped out a message, fingers hesitating at the edges of apology. "Hi, Linda. I was wondering if I could get the RAW versions of the Easter photos for our family archive." She deleted it. Typed again. "Hey, would love to get the original family pics if you still have them. Just for keepsakes, deleted that too." Eventually, she sent nothing, because even she knew Linda wouldn't fall for that. Back at home, Linda was already labeling another batch, brand violation evidence folder 7 of 12. She didn't post, didn't reply, didn't gloat. Instead, she wrote one quiet email back to the rep. Attached are the 12 original files in question, with corresponding thumbnails, timestamp logs, and metadata extract. Please confirm receipt. Kindly, Linda Gordon. She leaned back in her chair as the email sent, watching the status bar inch forward. Somewhere upstairs, the soft hum of her archival printer kicked on. Proof always made its way to the surface. And this time, it would be delivered in pixels, dates, and the one thing Amanda couldn't fake: authorship. Amanda receives a request for original raw files and can't provide them. She blocked me. I backed everything up to the cloud. The notification came just after breakfast. Yamanda.Carson has blocked you. Linda stared at her phone, thumb hovering above the screen. She didn't sigh, didn't scowl. She just turned the phone face down on the kitchen table, next to her tea and her planner, and opened her laptop. Across her desktop, neat folders lined the screen like chess pieces. She clicked open the one labeled Campaign Assets Amanda, then dragged a zip file to the email draft already waiting in her inbox. She adjusted the wording slightly, double-checking the attachment. Hello? Attached is a full archive of photographs taken and previously provided to Ms. Carson, including original file metadata, timestamps, and device information. Please let me know if you require confirmation of ownership or file origin. Warm regards, Linda Gordon. She read it twice. Polite, clear, no emotion. She hit send. The email dissolved into the air like a chess piece moved across a digital board, not an attack, just the truth. Backed up 3 times, in cloud, on a hard drive, and on print. She sipped her tea. Chamomile and something floral. Outside, the clouds were gathering, soft and slow. Across town, Amanda was spiraling. Her comment section was still a mess of theories and questions. Her last photo, the one with the watermark, had been quietly removed. But people had screenshots. Of course they had. TikTok accounts were stitching side-by-side comparisons. Blogs were digging up metadata with online tools. Even her DMS had started to dry up, and now her inbox was full of ice. Please provide a response regarding the origin of all images used in your recent campaign. We are in contact with a party claiming copyright. Be advised, image theft is a breach of contract and FTC guidelines. Amanda hit compose, then backspace, then typed again. Hi, I'm not sure what's going on, but I was under the impression these photos were shared with me freely. I had no idea there was an issue. She didn't send it, because somewhere in her gut, she knew it was too late for pretending she didn't know. Too many posts, too many cropped photos, too many blurred watermarks now being zoomed and reshared like little digital signatures. She opened her own camera roll, searching for the originals. All she had were flattened versions, sent by Linda. No raw files, no editing layers, no proof. She swiped left, right, then closed the app entirely. Linda, meanwhile, was calmly uploading one more copy of the folder to an encrypted backup system. She labeled it AMANDA-brand-documentation final. Each click was precise. Her face was expressionless, but her spine had straightened slightly. She opened a new document and began to transcribe relevant dates, file exports, Instagram post times, and Amanda's text messages asking for a few cute ones for my page. The printer hummed to life beside her. Slowly, page after page slid out. Evidence unspoken but undeniable. A soft ping interrupted her rhythm. She glanced at her inbox. A new message from the brand's legal team. Subject: request for conversation, content authorship dispute. The preview line read, "We'd like to speak with you directly, Ms. Gordon, at your convenience." Linda leaned back in her chair and reached for her tea again. It had gone cool, but she didn't mind. Outside her window, the clouds were beginning to break, rays of light falling across the garden she'd planted herself, quietly, steadily, without ever needing applause. She read the email again. Not just, "We've received your files." Not, "We'll look into it." They wanted to speak. Not to Amanda. To her. A lawyer from the brand replies, "We'd like to speak." She ignored the copyright footer. The contract didn't. The silence after the lawyer's email wasn't ominous. It was exact. Linda knew the pause between a polite inquiry and a procedural move was often the most telling part of any response. She didn't refresh her inbox. She didn't call anyone. She opened her desk drawer instead and pulled out the printed copy of Amanda's campaign post, the one with her watermark barely noticeable in the lower corner. She smoothed it flat against the wood and placed a paperweight over it. The next day, a second email arrived. "Ms. Gordon, as part of our verification process, we reviewed the creator agreement signed by Amanda Carson. Clause 6.3 requires all campaign assets to be original work owned by the creator, or to have written permission and full attribution. Our legal team would like to confirm, did you provide Amanda with explicit licensing rights for these images?" Linda read it slowly, then again, her lips barely moving with each line. She took her time drafting a response. Number I provided personal family photos at her request. I did not license them for commercial use. No credit was given. No permission was asked. I retained full rights. LG. She didn't elaborate. Brevity had its own weight. Later that evening, she received a follow-up. "We're prepared to offer you a licensing fee of $600 as part of a resolution package." Linda stared at the number. $600. For photos used in a brand campaign viewed by over 40,000 people, pushed in ad placements, hashtagged across platforms. She didn't need the money. She needed the line drawn. She closed the email and reopened her folder titled Terms Violated. Inside were screenshots of Amanda's caption, links to her story highlights using the photos, and metadata showing exactly when and how the files were uploaded to Linda's shared drive. She compiled it all into a single PDF and renamed it Unauth Campaign Usage Compiled.pdf. She attached it to a new reply. "Thank you. I will be declining the fee. I do not authorize commercial use of my work by Amanda Carson or her affiliates. Please proceed accordingly. Linda Gordon." She made herself tea after sending it, Earl Grey this time. A slight citrus note. She watched the steam curl as she sat at the window. Across the yard, wind pressed lightly against the glass, brushing the ivy leaves back and forth like an old metronome. The calm was purposeful. She had learned years ago that vindication wasn't a sprint. It was quiet, methodical justice. Amanda, however, was unraveling. Her inbox had gone cold. The sponsorship team hadn't responded to her last 3 emails. The PR rep, who once replied with heart emojis, now answered only with legal boilerplate. "We are reviewing internal policies." Her manager's tone had shifted too. Professional, clipped, uncertain. She scrolled through her campaign document. There it was in black and white, Clause 6.3. All submitted media must be original or properly licensed. Use of third-party content without disclosure or credit constitutes breach of contract. She hadn't even looked at it before. She assumed it was boilerplate, assumed nothing would come of it, assumed wrong. 3 days later, Amanda received a formal notice in her inbox. Subject: Takedown request, campaign imagery in violation. The email was firm, the tone unmistakable. Our legal team has determined that the media submitted for the campaign was sourced from a third party without licensing or attribution. In accordance with our policy and FTC guidelines, we are issuing a formal takedown request. All content featuring the imagery must be removed within 48 hours to avoid further escalation. Amanda stared at the message, pulse thudding behind her ears. Linda, meanwhile, printed a copy of the email and slid it into her binder behind a tab labeled Action Taken. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. That binder was her smile now. Brand issues Amanda a takedown request. She curated a lie. I uploaded reality. Linda didn't hit publish with spite. She did it with precision. The morning light cut across her kitchen table as she sat with her laptop open, cursor blinking over the Launch Site button. Her tea had long gone cold, the jasmine scent faint now, but she didn't move, not until everything was exact. She named the site Behind the Crops. No password walls, no dramatic manifesto, just rows and rows of photos, unaltered, uncropped, untouched. There were no filters, no hashtags, no branded logos floating in the corner, just truth in its rawest form. The Thanksgiving photo, where Amanda had cropped her out completely? Linda uploaded the original, herself seated at the head of the table, carving the turkey she paid for, cooked and served. The birthday image, where Amanda's post showed only her smiling beside the cake. Linda's version showed who baked it, her hands still dusted in flour, standing just off to the side, lighting the candles while Amanda posed. Even the family beach trip from last summer, Linda had been holding the camera, of course, but someone had snapped one of her in the moment, kneeling in the sand to capture the perfect angle of Amanda's candid laughter. That one made the homepage. There were no captions, just dates, locations, metadata intact. Her initials in the corner, subtle as ever. She shared the link only once, a quiet message sent to a close friend in her sewing circle. Thought you might like to see these. L. Within 12 hours, the site had nearly 1,000 hits. By day 2, the comments started. Wait, is this the real version of that influencer's feed? She cut you out? That's literally your shadow in the original. The unedited shots are beautiful, honest. Why wasn't this the narrative? Linda didn't reply. She never did. She just added more. A few users started doing side-by-side comparisons. Some even made Instagram stories about it, but it was TikTok that broke it wide open. A 20-something content creator named Remy, purple hair, glasses, fiercely protective of elder creatives, posted a split-screen video. Amanda's posted image on one side, Linda's original on the other. The caption read, "This is why you don't crop people out of their own work." Within 6 hours, it had 400,000 views. The voiceover was calm, but scathing. What you're seeing here is erasure. Not just digital cropping, but social invisibility. The woman behind the camera, behind the family, was strategically removed to highlight someone else's brand. At the end of the clip, Remy added, "Credits matter. Stories matter. Don't just look at what's shown, ask what was left out." Comments poured in. "I'm crying, this is my mom's story too." "Unfollowed Amanda. This is messed up." Wait, is the original photographer speaking out? She wasn't. She didn't need to. Amanda, however, was scrambling. She posted 3 times that day. Quotes about healing, about family always being complicated, about truth being subjective. None of them stuck. Her followers weren't buying it, not after they'd seen what had really happened, unedited and in sequence. One comment stood out, pinned by a stranger with no ties to either woman. "You built a brand on stolen framing." And the frame cracked. Back in her quiet home, Linda refreshed her site once, then again. The traffic tracker ticked up. So did the inbox notifications. People asking for interviews, photographers offering support. A stranger who wrote only, "Thank you. I'm not invisible either." A viral TikTok uses the site to compare original versus posted versions. "She made me invisible. Now brands avoid her like a shadow." The first brand pulled out without a warning. Amanda's followers noticed before she did. The link in bio for a skincare line she'd hyped all month led to a dead page. When she clicked into the affiliate dashboard, it was gone. Erased. No payout pending. No explanation. She texted her manager in all caps, "What happened to Luxe Skin?" It took hours to get a reply. They said brand image issues. Something about copyright questions. Amanda stared at the screen, blinking. Her mouth went dry. She opened her most recent post, the one where she stood barefoot by the window in a flowing linen robe, serum dropper held delicately at her cheek. It had hundreds of likes, sure, but the top comment had over 300 replies. "Is this another stolen pic? Wonder who took it." Amanda deleted it. Too late. The next day, another brand followed. This one sent an email. Subject: Partnership termination. Clause 7. A. Due to recent concerns regarding content integrity and rights attribution, we are formally ending your contract effective immediately. All future payments will be withheld pending internal legal review. Amanda sank into her desk chair, fingers trembling as she clicked out of her inbox. She turned off her monitor, then turned it back on. She called her manager. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. "It's me. I don't know what Linda did, but this is getting out of hand. Fix it." There was no reply. Meanwhile, Linda was in her studio. A quiet Sunday. No rush. She moved slowly, almost meditatively, as she scrolled through her files and uploaded. Another batch of photos, this time with timestamps neatly noted beneath each frame. 1. Amanda holding a bouquet, eyes closed in the sunlight. Date, June 14th. Time, 5:26 p.m., taken on Linda's Canon, metadata intact. Another, Amanda laughing with Caleb and the kids at the lake. Date, August 2nd. Time, 3:12 p.m. Linda's shadow visible in the corner. No captions, just truth. That evening, Amanda's phone buzzed non-stop. Ping, 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 ping. Her latest reel, an attempt to shift the narrative with soft lighting and vague apologies, was now a war zone of comments. "Where's the photo credit?" "Linda's archive is better than your whole feed." Silence isn't a retraction. She muted the notifications, then unmuted them, anxious to see what else people were saying. In desperation, Amanda emailed Linda. The subject line was bare. "Can we please talk?" Linda opened it, then closed it. No response. She added it to a folder marked Contact Attempts, Post-Fallout. The management agency finally called Amanda. She answered on the first ring. "Damage control," they said. "You need to go live, clear the air, humanize yourself." Should I address Linda? No names, no blame, just vague sincerity. That night, Amanda sat in her office, ring light on, hair softly curled, lips glossed. "Hi everyone," she said, forcing a smile. "I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about the last few days." Comments began trickling in. "Apologize to Linda first. You built a brand on lies. Where's the real photographer?" Her voice wavered, but she pushed forward, trying to talk over the tide. "I believe family should stay private. So why did you erase yours?" She ended the live early. She stared at her reflection in the now dark screen, hollow-eyed, makeup perfect. Behind her, the framed family portrait, cropped and glossy, felt more like a mockery than a memory. Across town, Linda closed her laptop. She didn't need to watch the live stream. She'd already seen enough. She made tea, opened a new folder, labeled it Live Fallout. Amanda tries to go live. Comments are flooded with questions. She tried to delete the evidence, but I was the archive. Amanda's feed began to shrink by the hour. First, it was the Mother's Day carousel, the one captioned 3 generations, 1 heart, where Linda's presence had been carefully cropped from frame to frame. Gone. Then the paid partnership post with the rose gold kitchen appliance, where Linda's watermark had appeared faintly in the lower corner. Deleted. Followers noticed. They always did. Didn't this post have more slides yesterday? Where's the one with the matching mugs? Why are all her branded posts disappearing? The silence screamed louder than any caption could have. Amanda posted a story the next morning. A beige background, white font, polished and vague. Sometimes collaborations don't align with our evolving vision. Thank you to everyone who supports authentic content and personal growth. The word authentic curled bitter in Linda's mouth when she saw it. She didn't comment, didn't message. She just added the screenshot to her digital folder. Narrative management. She moved with deliberate calm. That afternoon, she logged into her website, Behind the Crops. The site had seen a quiet surge in visitors since the viral TikTok that compared Amanda's cropped posts with the originals Linda had archived. Now she added a new section. Timeline of edits. It contained no accusations, no narratives, just side-by-side comparisons, original photo on the left, posted edit on the right, a soft watermark bottom corner, LG Studio. Dates included, no drama, just fact. Meanwhile, Amanda's inbox flooded with questions she didn't want to answer. Why aren't you tagging your photographer anymore? Can we credit the real creator? Did your MIL take all your pics? Amanda didn't know what to say. Not truthfully, so she said nothing. But Linda's quiet grew louder by the day. The next week, a comment under a home decor reel read, "At this point, Linda's archive is the real behind the scenes." That comment got pinned by someone else. Amanda removed it, then turned off comments entirely. She'd hoped silence would end the speculation, but Linda understood something Amanda didn't. Silence was not absence, it was preparation. In Linda's small study, where a framed photo of her late husband still sat beside the printer, she began scanning older negatives, some from Amanda's baby shower, some from their first family vacation. All hers, all logged. She labeled the new batch, pre-influencer era. By now, brands had begun to tread cautiously around Amanda. Even unpaid collaborations seemed hesitant. Her engagement dipped. Algorithms punished inconsistency. But Linda didn't watch metrics. She watched patterns. That's why the email caught her attention immediately. Subject line, "Photographers United Panel, Speaker Request." The message read, "We've been following your quiet but impactful campaign high, lighting creative ownership and visibility. Would you be open to speaking about your experience with image rights and uncredited digital labor? Your story is resonating far beyond photography. It's about erasure and reclamation." Linda sat back in her chair. Outside her window, early autumn leaves began to loosen their grip. A single one floated past her line of sight, graceful and unhurried. She smiled. She didn't reply right away. Instead, she opened a fresh folder, named it Panels and Press, saved the email, backed up the archive one more time. Amanda, meanwhile, posted a flat lay of lemon tea and a book she clearly hadn't read. Caption, "Grateful for quiet days. Growth sometimes means letting go." Someone replied, "Or getting caught." A photographers association reaches out, "Would you speak at our panel?" She used my art without asking. I used the law without raising my voice. The letter didn't look like much at first. Just a white envelope with a return address from a legal firm tucked into the bottom left corner. But when Amanda opened it, everything changed. Just not in the way she'd planned. Linda hadn't needed a dramatic confrontation, a shouting match, or even a public statement. She'd needed only a quiet desk, a working scanner, and a copyright registration number. A few weeks earlier, after the photography panel invite, she had contacted a lawyer specializing in creative rights. They spoke for 43 minutes. Linda had her notes typed and numbered. Every photo she had captured, especially the ones used in Amanda's brand collaborations, was included in the digital packet she submitted. Time-stamped, geotagged, cataloged. And now it was official. The cease and desist was more than a warning. It was a statement of ownership, backed by documentation and law. Amanda wasn't just being asked to take down content, she was being informed of pending civil copyright infringement and potential damages. Linda never raised her voice. She didn't have to. While Amanda skimmed the legal jargon in her kitchen, pacing between the counter and her phone, Linda was at the post office mailing an extra copy of the original submission, this one addressed to Amanda's management agency. The photos weren't just content, they were protected work. On Instagram, Amanda's grid was already beginning to erode. Empty caption spaces where posts once sat, partnership tags removed, story archives trimmed down to nothing but a reel of old holiday decor and unbranded brunches. But Linda noticed something else. Amanda hadn't posted in 5 days. The silence wasn't strategic this time. It was strained. Linda's attorney forwarded a response from Amanda's manager, tense, vague, asking if this could be resolved amicably. Linda had typed her reply days before. It read, "This isn't personal, it's procedural. You advised a client using unlicensed photography. I documented it." 2 nights later, Amanda's agent officially dropped her. The message was clean, transactional. "Due to legal uncertainty surrounding your recent campaigns and content ownership, we are suspending your representation until all matters are resolved." When Linda read the line, she didn't smile. She just turned her chair slightly to look at the bookshelf across her study. There, neatly propped between two brass bookends, were two framed images. One was the original photo Amanda had posted during her last brand deal. Linda had taken it on an overcast afternoon, the soft gray light perfect for diffusing shadows across the white countertops. It had taken 5 attempts and a well-timed click to get the angle right. The other was a screenshot of Amanda's now-deleted post. The difference? In the second, Linda's watermark had been cropped. The corner was bare, as if no one had stood behind the camera, as if no one had mattered. But the court had disagreed. Linda hadn't sought damages for the money. The licensing offer from the brand had already been declined. What she wanted, what she documented, was acknowledgement. Validation that what she gave had value, that visibility, even when invisible, left a legal trace. That week, her inbox filled with interview requests, a podcaster who focused on digital IP rights, a photographer who wanted to do a joint exhibit called The Cropped Frame, and another email, this one from a local university's digital media ethics department. They wanted to cite Linda's case in a new course about authorship and attribution in influencer culture. Meanwhile, Amanda's last story had been a blurry view of a latte and a caption that simply said, "Taking time to reset. Back soon." But her name wasn't trending anymore. Linda wasn't looking for that anyway. She simply logged out of her email, made tea, and added a new folder to her archive. Legal victory, closed. Then she labeled a second one, ongoing silence, open. Because this wasn't revenge. This was restoration. Quiet, precise, irrefutable. Her manager drops her until legal matters resolve. She cropped me from her story. I became the full frame. The photo that once lived in the margins now hung in the center of the gallery wall, matte printed, perfectly lit, unedited. You could see Linda's reflection in the toddler's eyes she'd been photographing that day, her hand steady on the camera, her body half crouched in focus. This time she wasn't behind the image. She was in it, fully, finally. The room smelled faintly of varnished wood and fresh paint, still new. The gallery was modest, a donated space inside a local cultural arts center, but every frame on the wall carried weight. Each photo came with a single caption, the date it was taken and who cropped it. The exhibit was titled, "Erased and Remembered." Linda hadn't planned for it to be public. At first, it had just been a way to take her files off the hard drive and give them space to breathe. But when her friend Clara, a retired art teacher, saw the test prints taped up in Linda's spare bedroom, she'd said, "This isn't a private reckoning, it's a shared one. Other women need to see this." And they came, not just neighbors or former colleagues, but mothers, aunts, godparents, step-grandmothers. Some came quietly, arms folded, eyes darting. Others brought tissues, pausing in front of the side-by-side displays, one photo cropped, the other intact. On one wall, a child's birthday party. In the Instagram version, just the balloons and Amanda. In the original, Linda lighting the candles with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. There were no arrows, no explanations, just silence and sequence, letting the truth tell itself. A younger woman lingered longest in the far corner. She had her arms crossed, sleeves pulled over her hands, a slight twitch in her lip as if suppressing something. She finally turned to Linda and whispered, "My sister does this to our mom. Edits her out of everything. Says it's cleaner that way." Linda nodded gently. "Save the originals," she said. "Even if they don't want the truth now, one day someone will." The press coverage surprised her. The headline read, "Art and Silence as Power, a photographer's response to digital erasure." It had been written by a local reporter who'd visited quietly and left without introducing herself. The article never mentioned Amanda's name. It didn't have to. The story resonated beyond a single feud, and then came the email. Subject line, "Documentary Inquiry. Project Unseen Women." The message was short, typed in a single paragraph. "Your story and exhibit were brought to our attention. We're developing a project about family dynamics, visibility, and creative labor. Would you be open to a conversation?" Linda sat with it for a full hour before replying. Not because she was hesitant, but because she knew finally she had the power to choose how her story was told, not erased, not retold through a filter, but framed by her own words, her own hands. That evening, as the last of the guests left the gallery and the lights dimmed, Linda walked the space again alone. The air was still, heavy with presence. She stopped at a photograph she almost hadn't printed. It was the one Amanda had once hung in her hallway, cropped so tightly only Linda's shoulder had remained in the shot. Here, in the original, Linda stood between her grandchildren, laughing. Her eyes were closed, her mouth open in joy. She looked messy, human, alive. She whispered aloud to no one, "They saw me blurry. I see myself clearly." As she turned off the gallery lights, her phone buzzed with a second email. From the filmmaker. A documentary filmmaker contacts Linda. She called them memories, I called them exhibits. The door clicked shut behind Linda with a soft metallic sigh, sealing her inside the one place that had never cropped her out. Her studio. The room had changed since all of this began. What used to be a corner cluttered with tripods, memory cards, and half-framed prints was now an intentional, curated space. Soft gallery lighting kissed each wall. The shelves gleamed, dustless, lined with labeled binders and matte photo boxes. A diffuser puffed lavender into the air, grounding the room in calm clarity. This place didn't apologize for her presence. It preserved it. At the center of the back wall, beneath the main spotlight, hung two large mounted prints. They were identical in subject, but not in truth. The left was Amanda's original post, or rather her version. A clean white border, a caption about family. Cropped so that Linda's arms were cut at the elbows, just enough that one might assume she was never there at all. The right was Linda's original. No edits, no filters. A candid moment, Amanda's toddler tugging at Linda's sleeve, Linda mid-laugh, eyes squinting in genuine delight. The contrast between the two frames wasn't subtle. It was surgical. She stared at them for a long moment, then turned to the small placard beneath the right image. One line of text. The full frame tells the full truth. There was a knock. Gent. Tall to uncertain. Linda walked over and opened the door. It was a woman in her early 30s, maybe younger. Soft curls, faded jean jacket, nervous fingers tugging at her sleeve. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Hi, I saw the exhibit online. I'm not even sure if you're open today." Linda gestured her in without a word. The woman walked slowly, reverently, scanning the frames, stopping in front of the side-by-sides. After a beat, she exhaled shakily. "My daughter-in-law does this. Not cropping photos, well, not yet. But it's like I'm not part of their life unless they need something." Linda didn't interrupt. She just waited. "She invites me to holidays late, leaves me out of group texts. I only find out things when it's too late to be included, but I'm always expected to drop off food, babysit, smile on cue, like I'm a background extra in their perfect little show." Linda tilted her head slightly, considering her. "You documenting it?" she asked. The woman blinked. "Documenting?" Linda walked across the studio and pulled open a drawer. She handed her a folder, not full of photos, but a printed guide. How to extract metadata from images, how to preserve online posts with timestamps, how to watermark without ruining aesthetic. The woman took it in trembling hands, her eyes welled. "You don't have to fight," Linda said softly. "You just have to outlast. Save everything, then choose when to show it." The woman nodded. Linda gestured to the small seating nook by the window, mismatched chairs, warm tea already steeping in a kettle. Outside, the afternoon light curved through the glass like a frame around them both. It was quiet, but not empty. As they sat, Linda's eyes drifted across the room to the long wooden table where she sorted prints. She reached into a leather box, pulled out a final photo she hadn't yet mounted. It was from years ago, before Amanda had an audience, before any branding. A blurry snapshot of a backyard barbecue, everyone sunlit and sweaty, no posing. Just people. Together. In the photo, Amanda was laughing, holding a baby on her hip. Linda was behind her, grill tongs in hand, mid-turn. They were caught in a real moment. Before filters, before edits, before erasure. She studied it carefully. This one she wouldn't frame. Not yet. Maybe never. Some truths didn't need to be posted, just remembered. As the kettle whistled, the younger woman looked up. "Do you regret it?" she asked. Linda poured the tea slowly, the steam rising in delicate spirals. "No," she said. "I regret letting them write me out for so long." She passed her a cup and added after a pause, "But I don't regret showing up in the end." On the wall above them, the title plaque hung straight and simple. She called it content. I called it mine. She erased me digitally. I returned in print, with proof.